Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla Rabba emunatecha.
We're live. Are we? Are we alive? So, in today's share, we learned about Seichel and Midas. And I'm coming in kind of in the middle, but the truth of the matter is, in Chassidus, you're always coming in the middle. And you could find meaning in anything, just like life, that you could jump in whenever you're ready. But today's share was addressing a question. A person's emotions are where a person really comes alive. Your intellect is kind of taking you out of your situation, you know, you're intellectualizing. It's abstract. It's not really you. You could be anything, you can imagine anything, you could fantasize about anything. You're not limited to who you are, but your emotions are different. Your emotions are much more tied to you and who you are. There's a certain intensity that they have, which is beyond what intellect can have. But we do find something which is a very curious thing, that intellect does have the ability to calm your emotions. But the question is, how is that even possible? How is it possible that a person's emotions can be calmed down? If they are you, how could something outside of you calm you down? It must mean, like, there's got to be some sort of give over there. So that was the question in the words of the Rebbe Rashab. He wants to know, How is it possible that you, the intensity of you, can be calmed down by something which is abstract? How is that even possible? That, like, what's the mechanism for this to occur, for this to take place? And I mean, there was also another question over there. That, so first of all, how is it possible that it's able, in the words of the Chassidus, it's chalishus? How is it possible it's able to calm it down? It's able to calm it down. And the other question is that we see that in general, intellect is something which makes sense. Intellect makes sense. It doesn't just, things don't just happen intellectually. You have to explain it to yourself. You have to explain it to somebody else. You have to match. You have to match whatever. If you're explaining something, you can't just talk at something. You have to go into the language that whoever is receiving it understands it, and then go into their world, kind of, or if it's to yourself, go into your own world and talk in the language that you can relate to. It has to be relatable intellect. If it's not relatable, it's not intellectual. But nevertheless, we see that this idea where intellect is able to calm down an emotion. For instance, let's say somebody tells somebody something which gets them riled up or worked up. So that would be the initial reaction, but afterwards, if they were to think about it, so then just the thinking about it itself automatically tones down the emotion. And it's not like you're telling the emotion, hey, you calm down. It's just by the fact that it happens kind of automatically, which is kind of alluding to the fact that the emotions have this inner subjugation to intellect, which the question is where does that come from? Where does that come from? Especially understanding that the emotions are you. It's like, why? Like, what is this idea that built into you is this subjugation? And that's something that we see clearly. It's not something which has to be proven. Everybody, just look inside yourself and you'll see that this is how things work. And the question is, and this is what we're addressing here, and it's probably the only book in the world where you'll find this being addressed so directly, is what is the mechanism? How do these things work? And that was what we learned today. Stay tuned for tomorrow.
Oh man, we had a crash. I'm so sorry. I hope you're all back and watching again. Let me give you a minute to get back in. Is everybody back? Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't have any indication yet. Let's see. All right, I seem to be back. All right. So let's try this again. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Ellie. It is Tuesday, Yom Shehukfu B'Kitay, the day that Hashem said twice, it is good. It is the 28th day of June, the birthday of our executive producer, Brad, the 29th day of Sivan. It is Erev Rosh Chodesh. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. The Torah portion is Korach, HaYom, Yom Shlishi L'Shabbos, third day, counting up toward Shabbos. We learned the third Aliyah and doing a lot of celebrating today. Lots and lots and lots of celebrating because it's a good day. All right, so let's get our good day started. Wow, that was weird. Get your tzitzis together. I will grab mine here. All right, and we will say the bracha on tzitzis. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right. Al divrei Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
Hareini Mikabel.
Hareini mikabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
All right. Torah tziva lanu.
Ay Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov.
All right. Get out your pennies. It's time to give tzedakah. We're giving for today and for
Put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
Morning YC, how are you? For Queen and Country. All right. Tzedakah has been given. And now it's time to say the Shema. Put your right hand over your eyes and let's do it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
All right, now it is time for breakfast. I'm having coffee and yogurt. We're making a bracha shahakol. What are you having? Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah b'dvoroi. Very good. Very, very good. All right. Today in Jewish history. Where's my history? There we go. It's being wonky. All right. As I said, tonight is Rosh Chodesh, the first of 2 days. What's going on in here? All right. Kitty cats everywhere. The first of 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. All right. Today is the day that Moshe dispatched the 12 spies to tour the Holy Land in preparation of the conquest of the land of Israel. You can read more about that at Chabad.org if you would like. The first public warning of rising anti-Semitism in the United States was given in a sermon by Reverend Harry Ward Beecher in 1873. Russia banned all Zionist meetings in 1903. Dr. Yaakov Yisrael Dahan was murdered by the Haganah in 1924. He moved to Eretz Yisrael, to Israel, to make a difference. He didn't see eye to eye with the Zionists and began to develop close ties to Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld and Rav Diskin. Eventually, using his legal and oratory skills, he became the first spokesman and advocate of the religious community. He was working with the king of the Transjordan to build an autonomous religious settlement east of the Jordan River. However, the work was sabotaged by zealots, Zionists, when they killed him as he was coming from Ma'ariv, the evening prayer. The order was likely given by David Ben Gurion or by Yitzchak Ben Tzvi, Israel's second president. Heady stuff, right? Today is the anniversary of the death of Robert F. Kennedy, who was assassinated by Bishara Sirhan, a Palestinian with Jordanian citizenship, at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. Sirhan is an Arab Christian who was born in Jerusalem. In a 1989 interview, he told David Frost, "My only connection with Robert Kennedy was his support of Israel." Little known fact, I was in that room at a Chabad Los Angeles fundraising dinner the night before. I was standing on that very stage singing with Rabbi Kurtzman the night before. I know. This afternoon, we omit the Tachnun penitential prayers, similar prayers like that in our davening, since tonight is Rosh Chodesh. 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, when a month has 30 days, both the last day of the month and the first day of the following month serve as the following month's Rosh Chodesh, Tammuz. There are many, many, many customs associated with this, and we will discuss them tomorrow on Rosh Chodesh itself. Yesterday, Chav Ches Sivan, was the day that the Lubavitcher Rebbe and household, meaning his wife, came to America, and I have a small video in honor of that. Not such a small video, but here's a video.
After a 12-day voyage across the Atlantic, they finally stepped foot on U.S. soil, arriving at Pier 8 on Staten Island. The ship's manifest lists the hundreds of passengers that arrived that day. Name of passenger, Schneerson, Mendel. Occupation, Rabbi. Race, Hebrew. Place of birth, Soviet Union, Nikolaev. Passage paid for by parents-in-law. Destination address, Joseph Schneerson, 770 Eastern Parkway, New York. Marks of identification, wears a beard.
I was standing with my father, Olav Hasholem, upstairs in Gan Eden HaTachten, ready to go in to the Frierdiker Rebbe for Yechidus. Because on that night, on Chav Ches Sivan, I officially became a Talmud in Tomchei Tmimim. As we were standing outside in Gan Eden HaTachten upstairs to wait to go in, Rabbi Jacobson, Olav Hasholem, came out from the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he goes over to my father, and he says, Ramordche, der Rebbe hat gesagt, at die Yeshiva soll rausgehen mit Kabelponim sein mein Nedim. Mein Nedim ist Klar Shas, Toisvis Rosh in Ran und alle chassidische druckte Svar. When we came to the pier, of course there was blockades, you couldn't go close to the port, but over there was already the Alte Rebbetzin, the Chamedina, and the Rashag, and I think Chana, and we, the Bochum, was standing on the side. Then suddenly we see how the Rebbetzin came out, followed by the Rebbe. The Rebbe was wearing then a lightish hat and a suit, a light red suit. Vice he gave Shalom Aleichem to everybody on that side. When it came to me, so Jacobson said, "Das is a Korach."
A ferry took them to Manhattan, and from there they were driven to 770 Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, finally reunited with their illustrious father. The young yeshiva students anxiously awaited their first glimpse of the Rebbe's children.
I remember very clearly how when the cars pulled up in front of 770, and the Rebbetzin and Dina, the Chomadina, got out of the car, and also, and of course, the Rebbetzin and Chaim Lushke, and how the Rebbe came out, and they walked up the steps to 770. As soon as we saw them, because our class was right by the windows, so understandably that we went over to the door, which opened up to the main hallway over there, and we stood there, and as he came in, so we gave him shalom.
The older Chassidim came all day long to give shalom to the Rebbe and his wife in the Rebbetzin, because they lived right there in 770. They asked the Rebbe to verbrechen. The Rebbe said, today is Tuesday, I'll wait till Thursday and I'll have an Aliyah and I'll bench Gomel, and then we will have a verbrechen.
I remember when the Rebbe walked into the verbrechen, he had a sitter in his right hand, and he walked in straight, sat down in the seat in 770 where I used to sit. There weren't a lot of people, the boys from the yeshiva and Chassidim. He spoke about Abot Tzichem L'Hoides. He described the four things that you bench Goyim at, saving from the ocean, prison, sickness, and he spoke. Interesting was, every time he mentioned the previous Rebbe, his voice broke, like he was about to cry. It was a beautiful Nikunim, and he made an impression. He's someone different. Then, as a matter of fact, in the middle of Fabrengen, he said he's going to test the boys. They say that American boys are booking the Kutei Diburim from the Frierdiker Rebbe. He started asking questions. We weren't so bad. We answered most of all questions. And then there was a discussion about Ramechel Zlotch was leading two opinions of how it's sung. He sang one.
At that time, I was a teenager, a young teenager, and of course I was standing there listening. And after a short time, I just couldn't understand what he was saying. He was just above me. And I was standing next to one of the very choshev Bachrim, Hershel Schusterman, who there later became the Rov in Bnei Reuven Shul. I said, Hershel, I said to him, I don't understand anything. So he said, shh, neither do I.
It was a tremendous impression. His b'tiyas, his quotations here and there, etc. And it's 9 to 3. And when he got up to walk out, his walking in, his manners was something different.